Hello and Nagasini. My name is Ahmed Yusuf Mohammed. I'm the president of Eritrea and Afar National Congress. Our organization is mandated by the Afar people to lead the fight against Afar marginalization, discrimination, poverty, and ethnic cleansing in Eritrea. Our goal is to establish Afar self-rule and internal self-determination in autonomous Afar homeland of Dankalia, restore Afar land rights, resource rights, build Afar capacity for economic development, and protect Afar culture and ethnic identity in Eritrea. Our vision for democratic Eritrea includes fostering a multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious harmony and union based on equality of each nationality, the principles of rule of law, respect for human rights of all Eritreans under constitutional federation. My presentation today will discuss the Ethiopia-Eritrea normalization of relations, the Eritrean-Afar perspective on the process of normalization, and why and how we support Dr. Abiy's initiative for normalization process. By now, many of you are closely following this historic event taking place in Ethiopia and Eritrea. Unprecedented emotionally moving heart to heart, embracing between the two brotherly nations after years of hostility. It was impossible to imagine just a few months ago. Some are comparing it to the fall of the Berlin Wall and the speed in which Dr. Abiy has moved to bring Eritrea from the cold. It's quite remarkable. Our organization, the Eritrean Afar National Congress, has made it clear in our press releases that we support Dr. Abiy's initiative for normalizations of relations, the integrations of socio-economic and geopolitical collaborations between Ethiopia and Eritrea. We've also made it clear that as indigenous Afar people, as traditional owners of Dankalia and its natural resources, the sea coasts, including the strategic port of Assab, Dr. Abiy's plan for the economic integration and prosperity must consult carefully with the Afar leadership, and extensive dialogue must include genuine Afar leadership and democratic Afar oppositions in exile, traditional Afar leaders such as Afar sultanates, Afar elders, women, in discussion concerning Afar territories in Eritrea. Because the country concerned, the state of Eritrea, is a crime scene. Because most of these lands, properties, and strategic coasts, including Port of Assab, which will serve as Ethiopia's import-export port, are the subject of crimes against humanity, mass murder, mass grave, forcible displacement, land expropriation, cultural expropriations, assimilations, and Tigrinianizations of our culture. I have here today a United Nations finding on the Afar atrocities in Eritrea. The United Nations Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Eritrea and the United Nations Commission of Inquiry on Human Rights in Eritrea have confirmed that Eritrean government and Eritrean officials have been systematically targeting Afar people on the basis of their ethnicity. And these crimes constitute the crimes of persecution and crimes against humanity. Commission of Inquiry 2016 report, paragraph 1121. Again, the United Nations in Eritrea has found that government of Eritrea and Eritrean officials have engaged in an intentional act to dispossess indigenous Afar people of their ancestral lands, their livelihood, their culture, through violent means. And that includes disappearance, rape, murder, mass murder since 1991. And the land traditionally belonging to or used to by the Afar was seized in a framework of land reform and afterward by the decision of the government without consultation of the impacted community. United Nations Report 2015, paragraph 1157. Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Dr Abiy Ahmed, is not party to these crimes against Afar in Eritrea, nor he is complicit in displacement of our people from their traditional homes and properties in Eritrea. But Ethiopia's use of traditional Afar land, especially Port of Assab, which is the subject of these crimes against humanity, will violate international law and human rights law, and will raise issue of Ethiopia's complicity into the crime in regards to Afar rights in Eritrea. Our long-standing grievances to address Afar rights to self-govern, to self-rule in Dankalia, to live a dignified life, the right to own and benefit from our lands and resources, the need to develop our socio-economic institutions, the right to lift our people from abject poverty as are indispensable fundamental rights recognized by democratic nations internationally. Correcting past wrongs, ending historic marginalization, economic and political marginalization of Afar people must be the agenda of Madamar. Dear Prime Minister Abiy, you have a great opportunity to distinguish yourself as a young, forward-thinking African leader that broke the barriers of hate, conflict, marginalization, lend a voice to those disenfranchised, and provide an opportunity for economic freedom, self-sufficiency, democratization to work in Ethiopia, Eritrea, and the entire Horn. Your actions today will cement your legacy and separate you from previously failed states and undemocratic leadership in Ethiopia. Your plan to bring Eritrea from the cold into socio-economic prosperity, geopolitical integration for peace and development is a huge political win for you and your people. Your message of trans-Africanism and Madamar is very refreshing. Your message of love over hate, reconciliation, and unity, your radical programs of reform in Ethiopia, magnificently received throughout the region and by the international community. Prime Minister Abiy, Eritreans equally deserve radical programs of reform in their country to participate in your Madamar agenda. In the past 27 years, Eritrean government made sure the Afar people remain economically marginalized, politically oppressed in order to advance its systematic policy to remove Afar people from Dankalia. Eritrean government has invited multinational corporations and international actors to advance its policy of Afar marginalization, displacement from strategic Port of Assab to help these corporations exploit Afar natural resources. As a result of Eritrean government's systematic policies and actions, our people are now Africa's most marginalized, impoverished indigenous people. 1 in 10 of our children die during childbirth. Afar have the lowest life expectancy rate among Eritreans. Afar illiteracy rate is among the highest in the world. I understand the US administration has played a role in bringing two nations closer for these normalization dialogues to go ahead. The US government also needs to look to our region not only from peace and security perspective, but include human rights, democracy, and Afar empowerment in overall strategy for the region. The European Union, Canada, the US government should be the voice of reasoning, the voice of the little guy, and should look and speak to the leaders of Ethiopia, Eritrea, in the issues of human rights, democracy in Eritrea. Equally, our message to our brothers across the Red Sea, especially to United Arab Emirates. You must respect Afar lives, property rights, land rights around Assab and Dankalia. With an invitation from Eritrean government, you have taken Afar lands illegally without compensating the real owners of the land for the land and resources. Not only that, you have destroyed traditional Afar way of life, economy. You have turned the traditional Afar salt fields into airfields for your fight against Yemen. And your helicopters attacked and killed Afar fishermen inside their homeland without any provocation to your presence in Assab. All this in violations of international law. You have an obligation as a well-to-do Muslim country to help your fellow Muslims in need. Your leadership needs to respect local culture and trade practices. You need to honor your social and corporate responsibilities by investing in economic programs for local communities in order to build trust and confidence of the Afar leadership. Finally, to our brother, Dr. Abiy Ahmed. The Afar support your plan for Eritrea. We support your leadership. This picture you see behind me is not Photoshop. There are close to 200,000 Afar who fled violence in Eritrea since 1991. These are real victims of systematic policy of Eritrean regime. They need to go back to their homes, businesses, properties in Dankalia. They need safety, security, social programs for rehabilitation and reintegration. Your plan will make a huge investment in the lives of many Ethiopians and Eritreans. When you make a huge investment, you need a good insurance policy. Respecting the rights and property of Afar people is a good insurance policy for Ethiopia. Inclusive, comprehensive, respectable dialogue with the Afar nation and its true representative, empowering Afar people socially, politically, economically, not just in Eritrea but in the region, will bring prosperity, peace, stability for everyone. I understand Ethiopia is currently paying close to $1 billion a year for use of Djibouti port. Ethiopia has the second largest population in Africa, and it will likely grow even faster in the coming years. Opening up an additional sea outlet in Assab will lift a huge burden off your landlocked country. This is a good news for Ethiopia. However, there is no reason why Afar should remain marginalized and poor. There is no reason why Afar should live in abject poverty while profits flowing from the port of Assab in Afar territories is building cities, other cities and villages near Addis Ababa or Asmara. Ethiopia needs to consult with the Afar over the use of Assab port and how to devise a sustainable local economic opportunity for them. If Ethiopia were to make any payment for the use of Afar port and strategic land, meaningful monetary compensation must be paid to the Afar Trust Fund to address Afar marginalization in Eritrea. Let's call for Medammer. Let's call for justice and fair play. Let's end Afar marginalization and an existential threat in Eritrea. Let's call for restorative justice, land rights, prosperity for all. Thank you, and God the